Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Instagrits podcast. My name is Devin Adams, CEO, and I am determined to inspire. I really am. I'm trying to take a break when I need to. And then I'm also trying to be able to help more people because I'm taking more breaks and thinking about my mental and physical health. I'm here with Big Tree Group, Tim Patton, and how you doing, bro? How you feeling? We just had a little conversation off air, but how you feeling, bro?
Yeah, I've had better. Got seasonal allergies
Yeah.
kind of kicking in, and then I got upper respiratory infection. That's what they call it. Whatever. As long as it wasn't COVID, I was fine. So,
And you had 2,400 kids today. Well, for those, can you hear me,
yeah,
Pat?
you know. Yeah, I can.
Okay, cool. It was just a little delay, but all that being said, Pat's
Oh,
tired,
I'm sorry.
but he showed up. He's here, and yeah, I think today's show's an important show. Won't be too long. It'll be a quick hitter. But I wanted just to talk about. We already talked about mental health, and I'm kind of sick of that wording. I would love for us to create a new one. But we know it's important, right, Pat? It's important.
True. No, absolutely.
Yeah, but after a while, when I keep hearing a word, I just want to figure out a new word for things. So I'll think about that. But I wanted us to talk about. If you don't know who this person is, he was a high school superstar. First of all, one of the best mixtapes I've ever seen. Highlight tapes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Jesus Christ. And we're referring to John Wall. John Wall was a crazy athlete in high school.
Yeah.
If you don't know, he was a 5-star recruit. He went to Kentucky. And at this time, those Kentucky athletes got the best athletes. They stayed there one
They was
year.
turning them out then, man. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he was the number one overall draft pick by the Wizards. So being a DC guy, automatically was one of my favorite players. And still to this day, he's still probably in my top 5 of favorite players. So when I read something, the first thing I saw about John Wall, it wasn't about his NBA or basketball playing or his injuries. It said John Wall thought about or John Wall considered committing suicide.
Yeah.
So when I first saw that, Pat, I was asked you like, hold up. My first reaction, and I want to get yours too.
Yeah.
My first reaction was, I sincerely hope this isn't an attention-seeking agenda. And the only reason, and I feel horrible saying it, Patton, is just because we're in that society now where everybody is doing everything for attention.
Yeah.
It's a poisonous thing that all we're trying to do is just get attention for negative press and good press. You know what I mean? Can you hear me, bro? I'm sorry.
No, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I said, and I want you to jump in after this, Patton. I said, wait a minute. If a person of color is admitting certain things about how he's feeling, what he's thinking, that can't be held against them. Point blank, period.
True.
And real quick, so what were your initial reactions? Doesn't have to be long. What were your initial reactions when you first heard this, or read this, or saw the video? What were yours?
Yeah, no, honestly, I looked at it and I'm saying, okay, well, I, I thought he was real courageous for even coming forth saying that, because as men we don't admit that. That's why, uh, the numbers are what they are in terms of men, especially African American men, suffering from mental illness or having mental health issues or even,
Right.
suicide numbers. So first I'm thinking how that's really courageous for him to come forward. But then you think, well, I mean, this guy has it all. He's an NBA player. He's living a lavish lifestyle. He's able to take care of his family. He doesn't have a care in the world. But then you start thinking, wait a minute, the injuries, the negative talk from other NBA commentators and different things like that. Oh, he doesn't have it anymore. Oh, he's not this anymore. He's not that anymore. That stuff can start to play on your mind, and you can start to doubt yourself, and then you don't know what's happening in his inner circle, like the people that were there with him when he was, John Wall, the NBA dunk champion, and him and Bradley Beal were going to resurrect the Wizards. All of those people that were with him that were so-called friends now, that he's on the latter half of his career, now they're kind of fading away from him, and it's like, you
Right.
know, I've heard people with money say, the minute they got money, that's when all of their problems start. So
True.
sometimes we think that that's the answer to everything, but there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of pressure that goes along with it. So, I mean, empathy is the first thing I can say that I've felt, even though I'm not an NBA player as wealthy as he is, but somebody in that situation, man, like just being a black man and knowing how those pressures work, um, my immediate thought was just empathy.
And yeah, thank you for sharing that, Pat. And I just want to be clear. I
Hmm.
said that attention-seeking behavior only because that's just what the society we live in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
However, yeah. However, though, to your point, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, wow, it's really brave for him to come out and say that, right?
Right.
But the way in the interview, he was so direct, eloquent, and comfortable that he really thought and felt this way. It
Sure.
wasn't like no, he was stuttering or you know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It wasn't
Yeah,
a spur of the moment, or let me just say this to see how many I can
exactly.
get on Twitter, whatever the case may be.
So
He was
so yeah, so let's go down the line because I said, wait a minute, person of color admitting how he feels, right?
right,
He's being brave. And then I was thinking about what he said. He said, first of all, he tore his Achilles, which is a season ending injury, right?
in some cases it could be a career.
Thank you, because that's what I was about to say next. You're right.
Yep.
Then he said that his mother passed away,
Yep.
and he was with his mother. She was going through chemotherapy, if I'm not mistaken. And
Hmm.
for the last 3 days, he was sitting beside her, watching her take her last breaths. Right.
Yep.
So, yep. So once I heard that, I was like, holy shit. I'm not even prepared to sit by my mother on her deathbed.
Right.
Like I can't fathom it. It might change who I am. It's a traumatic experience. You know what I mean?
Very, very much so. I don't think any of us can really, any of us that still are blessed enough to have our moms with us. You
Right.
cannot, you can't imagine how that feels. That pain and that agony of watching it happen slowly or happen at all. Like, I mean, I don't care
It's
where you at
crazy.
in life. Yeah, that happens to you. Everything slows down.
And then on top of that, Pat, I'm pretty sure he said that his grandmother passed away as well. So so when I'm thinking about two women, and I guess they were pillars in his life,
Yeah.
passed away, season
Hmm.
ending injury.
Hmm.
I I don't know what I would do. I'm not saying now you brought up something, and I want to go back here.
Uh,
We know the suicide rate, and I should have brought the stats because I actually did them a while ago. It's higher for men, correct?
sure.
It is. I don't know what that discrepancy or what the demographic will be for people of color
Ethnicity.
versus white
Right.
men,
Right. Right.
but we also know that the majority of men are the ones in the prison systems. The
Hmm.
majority of men are the ones, and I could be wrong. I'm gonna have to do a fact check, Pat. Are the ones that are the more depressed, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so when I'm thinking about that, but I'm also listening to him share after he said that, he said, "Yeah, I was thinking about or I considered suicide,"
Hmm.
and I was like, "Oh shit," you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that's why I was like, "Yo, this is serious. If somebody mentions that, you cannot take it lightly." And let's also not forget, Pat, on a personal level, one of the best saxophone players I knew committed suicide on a social media platform, and he said he was reaching out to people and needed help,
And
and
nobody
he
else.
never got it
Yeah.
until he posted that video, and people was like, "Oh man, I wish I knew," or I never knew," and it's like, hey, maybe we got to listen and think deeply. We can't take everything light. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
And he did say that the mom to his kids gave him a ton of support. And he also said his therapist. So when he said that and said it with such confidence, I'm like, I know, you know what? He probably did see a therapist and realized how important it was. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying?
Sure. I mean, that's rare within itself because we really don't, men don't, we don't talk as it is. So you know
Right.
having a therapist or some kind of dump all those insecurities and
Well,
vulnerability.
we're in denial about
Where,
we're in
yeah,
denial
I
about
mean,
stuff.
all of that's rare, and but back to your point about um, him saying he lost his mother and grandmother. Now the grandmother pain, I know what that's like, and that was unbearable.
Right.
So to lose both of those, and I know just from knowing his story, how close he was with his mom. That was his major reason for even making it pro, was to be able to take care of his mom and kind of repay her for all of the sacrifices
Yeah.
that she made for him and his family. So, I mean, you gotta, again, it's empathizing. You think about that. You can't imagine it if you have your mom here, but you think about
Yeah.
how much mental anguish there has to be day after day after day after day,
Hmm.
and to think that the only way that you can get relief from that is to end it all. That's heavy, man.
Bro, that sounds crazy, right?
That's heavy.
But
But
as crazy as it sounds, ooh wee, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. As crazy as it sounds,
hmm
when you look around and you don't know what else to do, and you have that much pain and
hmm
experience all that, and we also don't know what John Wall experienced growing up and all these
true,
type of things.
true.
It's just like, yo, him saying it is
hmm
kind of like, it's not that you understand, but
Right.
it's like, okay, that finally he said it. You know what I mean or no?
No,
You get it.
I know exactly what you're saying. I know
So,
exactly what you're saying.
and what I wanted to do is I wanted to turn this back to you real quick before we leave. But
hmm
before that, I wanted to say even I have a really good support system, and you're included in that, right? Because I've called you up sounding nuts, and you just said, "All right, well, or I will call you up honestly. And you remember this? I'll say,
No,
"Yo,
I know.
it's Friday," or I just have some energy, and it happens every 3 weeks, and I don't know how to. Can you remember those calls?
Oh, I do. I do.
I just be like, "Yo, I got a lot of energy. I don't know what to do," and all this type of thing. So I have a great support system, and that's a blessing. And
Yeah.
I also, lastly, have a team of doctors, one doctor in particular, but I have a team that are checking on me and making sure I'm okay. So I have a support system.
hmm
Black men usually don't have a support system. And this is where I turn to you because you said it so eloquently that I was ashamed to even speak on it. Because it's easy to say, and then y'all want you to come in right now, Patton. It's easy to say there's never a break for a black guy, a black man. You know what I mean?
yeah. But
But
that's
yeah, can you go into it? Because you told me that, and then you spent about 3 minutes explaining it, and I never heard the explanation said that way. Do you remember what you said?
verbatim, no, but I
No.
know, I know what we were talking about, and I know the the frame of mind I was in. So I'm saying this, as much as, I mean, and you don't have to look far if you're paying anything that happens in the media, or what's been even going on. Let's just take the past 3 years of social injustice and different things like that, and
Yeah.
all of the police brutality and all of the killings, and
And
you
being a
know.
husband and
Oh,
a
I mean, I
father.
wasn't even going to factor that in. That's
That's
just
what you told me about, though. A
right.
husband,
So
father,
it's
social media,
right.
social
It's
justice.
different. Black men in particularly suffer in silence because we're supposed to be the pillar of strength. We're supposed to be the object of perseverance. Like, oh, black men are so strong, so strong, so strong, so strong. But we have to, in spite of everything that's going on, our own mental health, and whatever we may be experiencing, any outside factors, you have to be a husband to a wife. You have to be a father to children, and all and I'm speaking as a dad of many. You 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 never want your children to see you in that light. So you have to kind of, not that you have to fake for them, but you have to not let them see you go through and be as vulnerable, because their picture of you is, oh, dad is the hero. Dad is always going to make everything all right. But what happened? What happens when dad doesn't have the answers?
Ah,
You know what I mean? Like, what happens when, dad, can I? Dad, can we? Dad, can we? And it's, now I don't know how we gonna be able to do that, son. And then you gotta live with the disappointment that you get looking back at you, and it's like, okay, did I fail as a father? Did I, let alone what might have happened with your own, your own father, if you had a good relationship with your own father. So, I mean, it's a lot of stuff that we carry. But when we were talking about it, um, I was thinking of one of my best friends who, unfortunately took his life, and all of the pressures and stress. And he had mentioned he had suffered from depression and different things like that. Um, but I never took it. I'm like, he's always happy. He's always cool. He'll be fine. Let me just call him and, laugh and joke with him, and everything will be fine. He'll be cool.
Right.
Won't be an issue. But that wasn't the case. Um, you know, again, he was doing a whole bunch of suffering in silence,
Right.
and when that was happening, he just, unfortunately, he couldn't
And,
take it, and the
yeah.
medication wasn't enough. The his talking with his therapist and all of that wasn't enough, and it just put me in the mind of thinking like, okay, well, you know, why is it that we go through these stresses? Why is it that even when we have these outlets, it's still not enough? Like, and I had to take the look at the totality of all the different pressures that black men have to deal with. The image, the being the strong one for everybody, being there for everybody, but who's there for you? And so when you're saying like, I'm glad I got a good support system, like I learned from that experience
Right.
to always pay attention to my friends, or those who I consider friends or closer than friends. Always pay attention. So that's why when you say stuff like that, I'm like, nah, bro. Like, nah, what you need? Nope. You better call me if it's something. I don't care what time it is. I don't care, because I missed that at one point in my life
Right.
and wind up losing a friend from it. And that's a feeling that when you felt as though you could have did more, like that's tough. It's tough to experience that and not knowing all of what he even went through, because he didn't have a chance to explain it to me, or I wasn't available to listen. So
Yeah.
there's unfortunately, just is I'm not saying, oh, pity the black man. No, it's nothing like that.
No, we're
But
not.
to James Baldwin said it best back in the early '70s, I believe. But he was talking about a race of people, saying to be an African American in this country is to pretty much be in a constant state of like disillusionment, like all the time. Like there's no rest, there's no break for you. Like just to survive is amazing within itself, because of everything that you have to deal with on every hand. And so, being a man in general is tough, but just being a black man and having to deal with all those different stressors and not having anyone teach you how to manage them. That's
Oh,
the
wow.
other part.
Crazy. You're right.
That's the like
I,
there's no book
my
on it.
dad in the home, and I never knew what you just said was even important. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, there's no book on it, and it goes back to the relationships that even we have with our dads. They only, those of us who are blessed to have uh, our fathers in our lives, they can only give you from what they've experienced, and life and times and pressures and all of that's changed so much since they were our age that
Yeah.
the experience they give you, not to say is inadequate, but some of the stuff doesn't apply for this day and time. So you kind of got to write your own book
Yeah.
on how to survive. So I mean, listen, man, it's the real deal.
Yeah. And like I said, thanks for sharing all that. And just to be clear, this is a podcast for everybody to listen, and we're
Mm-hmm.
not or neglecting the strength that women have, because we all know
No, not at all.
we're not doing that. But full transparency, we want this to be we just simply want this to be a podcast where we consider health, and we're focusing on men's health, and that's just the platform that we want to be on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the last thing I'm going to say is, even me being doing COVID and all this type of stuff, and even this month, I've had to put up. You already know my punches. I be
Yeah.
punching because I just have it calms me down. and I put up like 100,000 punches this month. And you know what I mean? But it
That's
just
tough.
keeps me calm. We all have certain
Yeah.
things to do. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
Even with you and me playing, I know we had that funny podcast before, but even you and me just going to the gym, putting up shots, right?
Yeah, that's
Back
therapy.
talking bullshit and
Yep.
making jokes. But I gotta give you before we leave, you always I was ghosting everybody. You would call me up and just leave me a voicemail. And you did that a lot. And shout out to you. Shout out to David for doing that. Um, because you're right. That's probably what John Wall was getting from his support system.
Yeah.
But maybe he wasn't getting it enough from other sources,
Right.
um,
Right.
or other outlets rather. So I'm happy he's doing okay, and I'm happy he
Yeah.
shared that. I just hope people don't minimize it because I don't know, man. I just feel like when men start being emotional or sharing certain things,
Sure.
it gets minimized or it's treated as I'm just going to say it's treated as weakness, and it's not attractive from a woman to see that from a man. I think they can
See,
handle it,
oh,
but I
you
don't know if
starting
they find
trouble.
it
You
attractive.
starting
Go,
trouble now. See, you
go
starting
ahead.
trouble because this is a short podcast.
We
But
got a
see,
few minutes. Go ahead.
so here's why I don't understand toxic masculinity.
That's not even real. Go.
Exactly. But I don't even understand why that's even brought up because when a man is being transparent, is being vulnerable, is sharing their true feelings, it's cast aside or
Right.
it's looked upon as you say as weak or I can't respect it. So, okay, so now I have to be overly masculine to
Correct.
to make up for the vulnerability that I don't want to show or that I can't show because you feel as though that makes me weak. So now when I'm overly masculine, now I'm too much of that too. Like, so where do I win?
Yeah.
And you don't.
It's tough, right?
Yeah,
So it's tough. So that we talked about that before on some later episodes, and
yeah,
I think we should revisit it because
yeah,
we're different now. Like it's a
yeah,
whole nother. We're
yeah,
just different
yeah.
now.
That's true.
We're
That's true.
smarter. You know, we've had more experiences. But yo, bro, you're right, and I'm just gonna leave it there. Did you have anything you wanted to say before we close out?
Uh, to anybody that's listening, if you have a friend, particularly a male, uh, who's expressing to you, any type of mental health issues, any type of depression, or man, listen, I just need to talk, or listen, let's just go for a ride, or listen, can we just go grab a beer? Never take those small invites, for granted,
Right.
because there could be something lying right underneath the surface that could keep them, from harming themselves. That's the far extreme, and God forbid, or that can keep them from sinking into a real deep hole of depression. Just you being there,
Turtling down, right?
taking it right, yeah, just taking that drink, taking that phone call, taking that ride, and sometimes be the difference, unfortunately, between life and death in most instances. So, don't take those things lightly. Take those opportunities and check up on your friends, man.
And closing, and you can tap on this too. I'm just saying, like I'm gonna put like a hotline number in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a couple of them. If you do need some support or need some help, how to navigate that correctly. And lastly, for our women out here who are listening, I know it may make you uncomfortable, but maybe every once a week it can be a opening session for both, or once or twice a week the man can share how his week is going. That's all it is. You know what I mean? Just share how your week is going.
It's balance. Yeah.
It's thank you. And then she can too. And men are just physically a little bigger, a little stronger, and we're built to do work, and we're built to provide, and we're built to protect. But if you have about 15 to 20 minutes a week, maybe give your man that platform to share how he's feeling.
Yep.
He probably won't share everything,
No,
but
he
don't
will not
judge
share
him.
it.
What do you say?
No, he will not share
He won't share everything. But don't make fun of him or think of him being different or not masculine because he's being vulnerable. And
Very
that's
true.
why
Very true.
it's tough to share at times. Give your man that platform. Don't judge his vulnerabilities as him being different. Don't minimize it because he's letting you know how he really feels. Because we're built to not minimize your feelings as women too.
Very true.
It's just a balance. So with all that being said, I'm happy John Wall did this. And Patton, you was preaching today. And I know you can go in even more. But we just want to get a quick podcast and and just pay attention more to mental health and think ways you can help it. So
Yep.
um yeah, a couple of strategies. So in the show notes, I'm gonna put some numbers down, some hotline numbers in the show notes, and everybody. Hopefully, y'all stay safe. Maybe think about somebody tonight, pray for them, and maybe reach out to them. You never know. A little simple text might help.
Goes a long way.
Take it from me. Patton left me voicemails in a funny
Cussing
way,
him out.
cussing me out. David, well, David. Everybody knows Dave. He would go into this 3 minute soliloquy, but it was helpful. You know what I mean? That kept me going. So, everybody, take care of your friends and be friends to other people and support them. So, make moves, move markets, believe bigger, faster. And I think we're going that way now. And God blesses the work. Everybody stay safe and use your outlets and the resources you have around you. So, everybody, love y'all. Take care. Have a good night. All right, Pat.
All right, bro.
All right.